Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this new exclusive program which we had started last week, and today we are formally starting Jirga with Jalil, hosted by Adil Raja, and it is going to take upon issues across frontiers, as the program's name suggests, and we will be discussing Pakistani perspective in the international arena, as well as other international issues which are faced by this world, which is now a global village. And in this program right now, this is just an introductory program. So myself and Jalila Afridi, senior most Pakistani journalist, White House correspondent, and everybody knows him, the CEO of Frontier Post. He is with me today just to give you a brief introduction and our thought process, how this program Jirga with Jalil is going to carry forward. So I would welcome Mr. Jalil Afridi, and I will also ask him that what is this program about, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, Raja ji, and my co-host Raja ji. This is definitely a new thing we are starting, and the interesting part is that me and Raja ji have never met. You know, we don't know any, we don't have any common friends, and this program just started last week when I had approached Raja ji with regard to his own show that he does with regard to what is going on in Pakistan, especially with our mothers, how we are humiliating our mothers. I've been in journalism for 25 years now. I have never seen such attitude amongst the politicians or whoever the power corridors are. I had called him that, hey, listen, I want to just talk about the respect of mothers, you know, and what our religion teaches us and what our values are. And from there, he said the word Jirga with Jalil, and just it clicked my mind. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's do this thing together. You take care of the digital side. And I'm here to just do the show, you know, like whatever journalism experience I have, I'm going to share that with you. Then we, according to this technology that we are in, we signed a virtual agreement, you know, on which we agreed on a couple of simple 3-point agenda, you know. And what are some of those 3-point agenda? I told him, listen, first of all, we are Pakistanis. I'm born in Pakistan. You were born in Pakistan. Our parents were born in Pakistan. So my venture with you is purely going to be based on these 3 points. One of them is being Pakistani. I'm never going to promote, I'm never going to allow anything being said against Pakistan or what I think are the interests of Pakistan. You know, I do have a right to, you know, be a little different than whatever the other guys are saying. But my agenda will never be against Pakistan. Since last 8 years out of these 25 years of my journalism was from Washington, D.C. So in Pakistani and Washington, D.C. since last 8 years, we had ambassadors like Jalil Abbas Jilani Sahab. We had people like Azaz Chaudhry Sahab. You know, we had people like Asad Majid Sahib, and now we have Masood Sahib. We had defense attachés like Brigadier Kamal Sahib, who is now a general, I think. We had Brigadier Naman Sahib, and now we have Brigadier Irfan Sahib. In 8 years, if any one of them can say that I said anything against the interest of Pakistan in any way, they can bring it on board to me. They can tell me, Jalil, yes, we do see something in you that is anti-Pakistan or whatever, right? But if they have not seen it, kindly please do not accuse me of something which I have not, which I'm not. Second part of our, me and Raja's program, virtual agreement, is that we are both Muslims, okay? We are not gonna say anything against our religion, you know? We both agreed without doubt or then, you know? We are Muslims, we have certain values in us. We are going to promote them in every way possible, you know, which are good values, you know. So the second thing was being a Muslim. And the third thing was respecting other religions. You know, we are going to not humiliate any religion or any society, humanity, whatever their beliefs are, you know. That's none of our business. That's not our right. You know, nobody gives us permission to do that. Beside that, Jirga is an open forum where me and him are going to invite guests. I do have health issues, so I have asked him to, hey, listen, you do a little bit more talking than me because encephalitis patients do have a hard time talking because I tell him it's like weightlifting. We have to lift up weights. This week, and we are off and on going to have guests, especially those guys who don't have a policy agenda. We're going to have guests who are neutral, who have something out of box to say, who have good ideas, who are not on somebody's payroll, at least till we know that they are not on somebody's payroll. Because nowadays, finding who is on whose payroll, I have no idea how to do it. I can't tell it from White House journalists. Peter Ducey asks questions from Fox TV all the time about how bad the management is of President Biden. Like I have not heard a single thing where the question was asked in a way where, so every big media company has agendas involved. We small time guys like Raja and me have just started a small little effort. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what kind of reaction we get. Let's see what kind of support we get. But the third part is we're going to respect everybody and we're going to respect their faiths. Coming to the topics of our today's show, I have chosen a couple of topics. I said, hey, Rajaji, I'm going to tell you what I've been thinking. So Jirga's theme is going to be, what do we think that are important issues that are happening right now? Especially from where we come from in that area, the surrounding countries, we are going to get journalists from there. They're going to speak to us. Rajaji says we should, do it for free, but I'm still saying that no, officially that we should pay them because, journalists are usually not in good financial condition, unfortunately, most of them, the ones that I know. So I would like to support them. There is no other reason, but if I can just even one time, Big Mac with fries and a Pepsi, I'll be very happy with it, I do want to start with a discussion that
But you're not a President Trump supporter, are you?
in
Once you're
some
talking about Big
things
Mac,
in
you're talking about Big Mac and the chips. So I thought you're a President Trump supporter, maybe.
yes, this reminds me of another fourth point, which again is between me and Raja, and that is the business side of this. Yes, we are going to target corporate sector. Yes, in the frontier post since 25 years, I have relied on corporate sector. I did not regularly go to the government office to get advertisements because every time I would go there, I knew I am compromising on something, whatever that something is going to be. So I never got along in there. I didn't do well by Islamabad's office.
I think, Lala, let's keep it at that because you're going to scare a lot of people by saying that we are going to involve corporate sector, especially all those people
No,
who want
positive way.
to
Positive.
who want to finish my revenue stream. So I think just forget about that. But yeah, if you want to explain it, it's up to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what I'm trying to say is that our news media outlet is going to not be sponsored by, I assure you this, online because it's our first show. We have to talk about some of the management things, a business being done by two people who don't even know each other. They're journalists. One has his own 25 years of experience in print media who does White House, State Department. Then you have another journalist, a Pakistani, sitting in London with millions of followers. It's like either, it's up to the people, but these are some of our credentials that we bring on the table to you, right? So we want to tell you that, yes, we are not going to be paid by any political or those agendas. Yes, we are going to rely on our hard work, going to the corporate sector, asking them for advertisements, asking them to promote our little effort. We're not going to go to political party.
Since Mr. Jalil Afridi has mentioned that, I would request you all that please go to the soldierspeaks.org. The address is right over here, my website, and there you're going to find a StubHub advertisement placed with kind courtesy of Mr. Jalil Afridi. And please, especially the Americans and the British Pakistanis, we request you to buy your tickets, even tickets from there. So have I done it? Have I done it right?
Thank you, Rajaji. I had
Right?
taught Rajaji that StubHub is one of our affiliate partners,
Yeah.
and so do let your audience sitting in the US that, hey, buy it through us, you support us through it. This is my advertisement side of me. In 2009, I did start an advertising agency in Afghanistan, went there, opened a company, did the work of Emirates Airlines, the launch, where the prince and the CEO came. I did Nestle work for 2 years there. I did the work of MoneyGram, Allpers Milk. I held the biggest exhibition there in Intercontinental. When Sadiq Khan was the ambassador there from Pakistan, he came there as well. It was a 3-day
Well,
exhibition.
since you're talking about your business side and your advertisement business side, you've got a political question about Afghanistan. You wanted to discuss something about Afghanistan in this
Yes,
program.
so let's
What's that?
come to our discussion point. Thing that I wonder as a journalist here sitting in Washington, D.C., and looking at Pakistan and Afghanistan and this whole, you have the Chaman border is closed, you have the Torkham border is closed, you have hundreds of thousands of people sitting there on multiple reasons. But I'm thinking, and I am confused, and I want to discuss it in this Jirga. Is Afghanistan a better friend of Pakistan, or is Afghanistan a better friend of the US at the moment? Something I have not realized, I have not decided yet. Maybe you can help me with this question, Rajaji. Your thoughts,
Uh, uh, it's very simple. It's a question of national interest. Just today, the Supreme Commander of Afghanistan has said that you've got only 2 months left to get to use the PKR, Pakistani currency. Just imagine, in our entire life, we have never imagined that the Afghani currency would be over and above us with all the international sanctions Afghanistan is facing right now. The Pakistani currency is going to be banned within 2 months. I used to be at the Torkham border, Lala, and we used to regularly catch consignment. They didn't like me over there. The smugglers didn't like me over there. I was in trouble with my superiors over there as well, because daily I used to catch Pakistani currency being smuggled from Pakistan into Afghanistan at the Torkham gate. They would carry it in blankets and they carry it in anything they could get their hands on. They've got thousands of children. The children were used to take this bread and the flour, but all the families the living on both sides, they were used to smuggle heavy amounts of money, Pakistani money, because the Afghani
Rajaji, let
economy,
me just
even
give.
in the days of the International Security Assistance Force in the US, those were the days I'm talking about, 2010. They were running their economy on the PKR, and now they are saying that within 2 months there would be no more PKR. So, but they're looking after the national interest because the PKR is in a nosedive right now. So they're
Exactly, sir.
yeah.
Exactly. Rajaji, listen, just for our audience, because this is our first show. Again, some of the beautiful things that I want to tell you that I'm doing first time as a journalist. I do not know what Rajaji is going to tell me. He does not know what I'm going to tell him. And our guests who are going to come, we want to know their opinion. We are not going to push them towards saying that, oh, Pakistan is very nice, and Pakistan did this very nice, and then Afghanistan did this very nice, or Saudi Arabia did. We are going to talk about professionally as two international journalists who share different or same opinions about what's happening in the world, international relations. We're going to have our guests come in who are going to talk about international things. We are not interested in domestic politics. Unless there is something important that we think that we could do something positive in. Our journalism is about positive things. Our journalism is not based on agendas. I'm not here to promote any agenda. I'm just going to share my personal feelings. I am confused. Is Pakistan a better friend of its neighbor? Or me sitting here in Washington, D.C., is America a better friend of Afghanistan? And yes, Rajaji, I agree with you. Every nation looks after its national interest. That's why, for the first time, that last week when you did my interview, I was telling you about one thing. I said, hey, listen, Rajaji, I don't care about any other thing in Pakistan at the moment. My concern is purely about economy. At the end of the day, we need money. If you're not going to look after the most important thing which runs any society, starting from household, guys marry this, even it goes to an extent, a guy marries this kind of a woman who, loved him at one point because he had a lot of money. The point he starts becoming poor, even she leaves him. That's the reality of life. We see it everywhere, right? So if it could happen to your own little home, why could it not happen on international level? I think economy is where Pakistan needs to focus up on the. on the utmost emergency, urgent way, because 200 million people economical needs are so catastrophic that if they don't realize this, that's why I told you last time, there are some bad things that you can imagine that could happen to you, right? That could come your way. There are some bad things that are beyond, like, you can't imagine them, you know what I mean? You never think of them, like your best friend right now today, him stabbing you on the back on any issue, for example, right? You do get hurt, like, oh man, this guy did this to me. Same things happen with nations, economically. When they see you, there will be nations who will exploit you. There will be nations who will blackmail you. There will be nations.
Talking about exploitation, Lala. Talking about exploitation. Talking about feelings. The one is in Afghanistan. There's an entire generation of people who are right now standing who curse Pakistan, irrespective of the fact that the Pakistanis have hosted the biggest Afghan population, biggest refugee population. But they've got a legitimate claim, and they say that you have used Afghanistan as your geostrategic playground to extract money out of Western powers. Maybe you've used us time and again to gain your geostrategic goals, and you've abandoned us. What do you have to say to that?
Rajaji, listen,
And
one
especially
of the
especially
biggest.
they say that you harbor terrorists. How can they say that? I mean, since the same TTP guys are attacking us right now in the Gilgit Baltistan, what is going on? What is this love hate relationship all about, in your opinion?
Rajaji, look, in Pakistan, where I come from, the Khyber Pass, where I was born, it was tribal areas where you served as a military guy. My family belongs from there. I came from out from there. One of the few first generation getting educated, seeing the tribal system, seeing the Jirga system, facing the consequences of Jirga. I have seen in my eyes verdict of a Jirga where a guy had killed the other guy's two member instead of just killing one member. So the Jirga decided that the other family had to sacrifice one of their member. So I grew up seeing people getting shot after the verdict of a Jirga. But
Hmm.
guess what? I, till today, besides some of these top Western nations where you have justice system like America, UK, Canada, bunch of the modern nations, beside them, the justice system in my area, the Jirga system, was some of the best in the world I've seen till today. People were very nice. They came on different issues. A Jirga was held. Decisions were made through common, whatever they had to say. And, then something was decided. Um, I think one of the biggest challenge from me, from being from Khyber Pass and then sitting in Washington, D.C. as a journalist, whether for the Frontier Post or whether doing this new thing with you, Jirga with Jalil, you are going to always see me, because they are my first neighboring country, that you're going to see me hearing positive and good things. Guess what? I am the most heard that since last at least 8 years that I've been here in Washington, D.C. And the kind of things you're talking about, I meet those guys that curse me here, on the back, and on the front, they just criticize Pakistan like you have no idea they do. And guess what? I smile at them. I tell them, let me give you an example of Mr. Mohib. He was an ambassador here of Afghanistan during Ashraf Ghani days. And he was a national security advisor at the time when Ashraf Ghani was leaving or hiding or whatever. Not hiding is the word, but like when he ran away with whatever millions of dollars. That's another thing we are going to talk about in future, though. But what I'm saying is, I, to Mohib, you know what I used to say? I said, Mr. Mohib, I totally understand the things you say about Pakistan, and it's a known fact you are a very anti-Pakistan. Wherever you speak, whether Carnegie or Atlantic Council or USIP or wherever you speak, I understand that you speak very anti-Pakistan, but I just have one thing to say. He's like, what? I'm like, did you not live in Pakistan for a little while, for a few years or
You're
for what?
talking about Hamdullah Mohib, right? Hamdullah Mohib.
Hamdallah Mohib, exactly. Hamdallah Mohib. for which I don't want to mix it up, but in future we are going to talk about these individuals because they
So
are
did you
so.
confronted him? Once you confronted him about
So
the hypocrisy, what did he
I
say?
said, sir, listen, brother. And I said to him in Pashto, I said, listen, sir, please, you have ruined the mentality of the Afghan kids who have grown up in Europe and in America by disliking Pakistan, by hating Pakistan. And when you talk here with such a hatred for Pakistan, what are you doing to the two neighboring countries? What are you doing to the two people who speak the same language and who are from the same culture and sometimes from the same tribe even, by talking these negative things? Like, what are you promoting? Because the US is not telling you to do this. You're doing these things on your own agenda, sir. So kindly, just because you lived in Pakistan for a little while, I request you at least say a couple of nice things about Pakistan. At least acknowledge that Pakistan has done something nice for you guys.
What did he say, Lala?
He was very embarrassed. He was very embarrassed always. Two people I want to tell you personally in Washington, D.C., that has hurted my feelings in 8 years, not in a direct manner, not in any direct manner, but in indirect manner by hurting me or by confronting or creating fights or hatred between and my neighbors, and that is Afghanistan. And listen, I like 8 years, these two people, Hamdullah Mohib and the US, the guy who did the Doha Agreement, whatever his name is, for 20 years, for God knows, 30 years, he's the US Czar of Afghanistan-Pakistan relations, the
Salmai Khalilzad.
Zalmay Khalilzad Sahib. I
Yeah.
met him 8 years ago when he launched his book. I wrote a story. I said, sir, and the story
Zalmai
was,
Khalilzad took upon the Pakistani security establishment quite recently, and he clearly sided with Imran Khan, by the way. Do you have to say something about that?
can I finish the first part first? That Hamdullah Mohib and Zalmay Khalilzad, in my 8 years, I feel like the hatred that these two gentlemen brought between the Pashtun communities from across the border it was very sad for me to always see. It was always very painful for me to see Voice of America journalists talking about how bad Pakistan is, And by the way, I've said all these things about the Afghan side. Let me tell you about our Pakistan side too. It always hurted me to see Lahore journalists and Karachi journalists or even Islamabad journalists telling me about the tribal areas, which they probably, most of them, have not even been to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when the Taliban government came, this journalist went and was doing a show somewhere in Herat on some ice cream spot that was very popular. That has
Maximum Lala, they go is they cross the Patak in Karkhana and they go up to Jamrod, where, and they come back. That is all their exposure.
No, but it hurts me to when I would see them talking bad things about Afghanistan, saying bad things about the Afghani people.
Afghanis are this, that, there's this talk in Punjab which is fueled by this typical mentality. I would say that ethnic mentality, which is being exploited by certain politicians. I don't want to say their name right now. Maybe you won't like it. But it's very
you
clear.
Have that other show. You have that other show to take your, to empty your heart out. Listen.
Yeah. Anyway, so your final words about Afghanistan, Pakistan, future of Afghanistan, Pakistan relationship, and then we move on to other issues.
Listen.
Yeah.
I don't have any other option but to be nice to my neighbor. And both the countries, both the leaders, they need to realize that your neighbor, whether you think about it from a religious point of view or you want to know about it from the, economic point of view or social point of view, your relation should be great with your neighbors. And all those guys who try to create...
Related to this, Lala, how come TTP is being harbored in Afghanistan and they're attacking Pakistani tribal belt, whereas there is a school of thought which says that, well, they are attacking us because with our own permission, but I really don't buy that. But how come they are not controlled in Afghanistan? And at the end of the day, they're the cousins, right? So it's a divided tribe issue. TTA, the Amir of Taliban over there, the supreme
So
leader. What the
Rajaji, listen, you tell me about that, because our whole concept of this show in Jirga, we don't ask each other questions unless I have made a comment and you ask me a question about. You tell me, what do you think, man? Like, what is going on? Like, and then I'll tell you what do you think about, your thoughts process. Because I
well,
personally think there are
yeah,
so many groups. My journalism
yeah.
experience tells me, from seeing this whole, like, starting from 98 till today, okay? I just think there are so many groups involved there. I feel like there are so many different interest groups involved there, that they each have their own power. They have their each of them have their own power groups and power sectors, or they control this or they control that. But when I look at it from international point of view, you see, this one thing in Jirga with Jalil I would like to do is to, like, look at the world from, of course, our surroundings. We have to look at that. But Rajaji, you know that the fact is that Pakistan and the US does a lot of trade with each other, right? So
Yeah.
money, so international things, like Pakistan with regard to there, and like Saudi with regard to US, like that is my interest. That's what I do mostly.
So
That's
we will move there, Lalal. But let's finish this topic. TTP was in my personal experience, they were not eliminated in the war against terror. They were made to run away into Afghanistan, and those in Pakistan were pushed into Kohistan district in particular. All right. So now you can connect the dots, and you can realize why they're coming back, where they're coming back from. The splinter groups are there, but they're coming back at their own. But who's funding them? That is a big question mark. Leaving that big question mark, let's move to the international issue. The G20 meeting in Indian occupied, Indian administered Kashmir. We call it Indian occupied Kashmir. They call us Pakistan occupied Kashmir. All right, let's leave that debate aside. But in a disputed territory, in the United Nations recognized disputed territory of Kashmir, Modi, the chaiwala, who Imran Khan called him the chaiwala, right? The chaiwala is now the global leader. He gave this terminology of the global south, the safe. Everybody's talking about the global south now. So he brought the G20 leadership in Kashmir. That was a slap enough for Pakistan. But to add insult to the injury, he also he did not even mention Pakistan or Pakistani issues as well. And from the looks of it, I think that the world powers are supporting them. And in Pakistan, we are nowadays having talks of the Saudis and the Arabs coming in and taking care of our economy, $75 billion in 5 year or whatever, and whatever that pipe dream is. I'm not going to talk about that. But you've seen practically the Saudi crown prince and the Emirati president thanking that chaiwala, all right, Modi, for giving them an opportunity to invest in the Indian economic corridor. I mean, where have we, what have
so.
we achieved? What's going on? What are your thoughts on that?
So Rajaji, so there are no thoughts. There are no my thoughts on that, by the way. Just to, like, I just want to say one thing about the last topic that we discussed. Look, Rajaji, in Jirga with Jalil, our theme is not gonna be asking the other fellow, what do you? I want to have the other fellow talk about what does he think is happening internationally in his
I
region,
think,
and what are some of the international things that he thinks are of importance.
hmm,
For me, with regard, and this is, we will be keeping it like this, otherwise journalists or nobody is, we want to let them express their feelings, and then
yeah,
whatever knowledge we have, we will say, I think this is happening. So not what, yes, we can ask him, hey, listen, I think this is like this, what is your thought on my thinking, that, you know what I mean? So give the room to them to explore, give the room to them to say whatever they want. Jirga means talking about different issues and talking about, coming to Biden's visit to India. Okay, so from what do I see it from here? It's incredible. India arranging a G20 summit. It's a big honor to arrange a G20 summit. And so many leaders coming in, and of course Russia is not coming. Of course China is not coming. Right? We know about that.
no, the
But
Chinese premier did come. The president did not come. Yeah, we
president, yeah,
understand.
I'm sorry. Yep, president did not come. Uh, but G20 is happening there, right? And there
Yeah.
is some controversy that Modi did whatever Bharat G20 or something like this. He used his own terminology. And last time when I went to the White House, I did see him speak in Hindi language as well, But the thing is, when last week I was at the White House, many journalists asked Karine about the upcoming trip of the president and his corona test and blah, blah, blah. But Karine continuously, what I noticed was continuously said that,
The
we
White
would,
House spokesperson is
wise,
talking
wise
about
spokesman.
India. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She continuously saying, and thank you, by the way, for reminding me these things. Again, I would
Yeah.
say that yes, my conversation style has changed because of my illness, and yes, my this right, I just works only 10%. So sometimes I don't even see some of the things properly. And yes, I do have two pairs of glasses here right next to me. One is for this one, and then one is for this one. So I do use for two different glasses. But listen, what I was coming to the point was that Karine did say that, listen, America wishes India as a successful G20 summit. But listen, she did not say that what a great guy Modi was, what are his great human rights beliefs, you know, how incredibly people are happy with the way minorities are being treated. Okay. And this is the same presidency who has continuously told him, and I have raised the issue, and Jack Straw and BBC. Prime Minister Modi, I do not see him becoming the Indian Prime Minister for the next term. Just like to extend this Jirga a little bit more and coming to our like even last and connecting the whole India thing in the region and connecting some China things with it too, by the way. Just like Modi is not getting elected, I personally feel like Biden is not getting elected too. I know maybe I'm
How
saying
much
some.
does Imran Khan's cipher leak has got to do the impact on Biden's re-election? You wanted to talk about that. What are your thoughts?
Yes, yes, yes. Please remind me to talk about this, but I just want to tell you one thing. This happened to me just this morning. Okay, with regard to just Pakistan, I want to tell you what people
Yeah.
here, government, senior level, retired, blah blah blah. What do they say about Pakistan? Just so
Yeah.
you know why I have chosen to talk to international journalists a lot.
Yeah.
Different journalists from their areas to listen to their thoughts about their specialities and about their thoughts on our region as well. Of course, about Pakistan, about India, of course, about Bangladesh, of course, about Afghanistan. And that's why we have created this program, right? So a lot of international to have. This morning, you know what this guy said to me? He said, listen, Jalil, man, you're from Pakistan. I understand you talk a lot about Pakistan, but listen, you're Pakistan. And guess what? We just spent about, I don't know how many billions dollars in Ukraine, okay? So don't talk about to us so much about Pakistan, man. Like, why do you talk about Pakistan so much? So,
So
sir,
let's
this is
talk
a
about Biden. Let's talk about Biden and let's
no, but
let
let's first
yeah.
realize that listen,
Yeah.
we have to look at, and I think Pakistan needs a journalistic forum like that, okay? And I think it's a great virtual whatever me and you have started, and we started it together.
Yeah.
We have started it purely on the basis of each other's knowing each other's ethics or maybe whatever background we have checked of each other, but we don't know each other. We have never shook hand, right? India and Biden, I think, have a very similar situation. Yes, I think Imran Khan's issue has aggravated the issue, the whole thing. How has it like aggravated the issue? I think it has aggravated by some of the congressmen of Democrats. Okay. So means same partners of President Biden. I think they have approached him and they have said that, like, sir, our own my own voters are asking me this. My own voters are upset. So, like, have this whole thing happened? You deciding to do this, or like, what is this? Was his removal our national interest or not? So I think some of the congressmen have expressed some, and that's the question I asked Mr. Vedat Patel last week as well. I personally think, yes, some congressmen are wondering that whether what was Secretary of State or whether it was President, because of course Secretary of State cannot do anything without the President here. Okay, in this
Yeah.
country, President is President. There is no this and that and blah blah blah. Yes, of course they have issues as well. It's not like they don't have issues as well. We will be discussing them in future, but we will be discussing them and more people who have more knowledge than both me and you about those issues. You know what I mean? Trying to talk to the journalists who have expertise in their own field. But yes, Imran Khan issue has made them realize that, is the president okay? Like, is his senses, is his decision making power is good enough to be like, should we choose him again as a president or no? Because he's damaging our own interest, man. And like, what have we gained out of it? The country is more in shambles. The country is more divided. You know, the economic situation has decayed. From what I hear, almost everything has doubled, Baijan. In Pakistan, every price has doubled, whether it's bread, whether it's tea, whether it's gas, whether it's this or whether it's that, right?
Triple, Allah, not double,
Triple.
triple. Yeah.
So just imagine if your salary is not doubled or triple, and if your salary is the same and you have to pay the double the price, like how do you survive? Just simple as that. And if I'm hungry, and if my kids, I see them hungry, and so many of them see them hungry, you know, then virtually something needs to be done before the public starts showing reaction. And just from what I hear and what I, read, you know, economically, people are in very bad condition in Pakistan. Yeah. And Imran Khan's issue, I think, I hope if the
So
Shah,
would it be fair to say that the overseas Pakistanis did really play a huge part in this
I
realization
have no
and
idea.
moving the
That's again,
Congress?
you tell me, how is the UK population? Do you think they have done, like, I have no idea. You tell me your feelings, man.
Yeah, of course, they have done their part. They've really. I mean, they have not let it just go under. Let the establishment, irrespective of survey, spending 10 billion rupees advertisement budget. That is basically your business. 10 billion rupees advertisement budget. I mean, that's really a lot of money there.
Let me tell you that. Let me connect this with my own.
Irrespective of that money, they have been unable to control the narrative, and globally, they have been making hue and cry. And you were saying just Democratic congressmen. I have seen that letter by 55 bipartisan congressmen in support of
Yeah,
Imran
but
Khan.
it was one of those think tanks here, you know, the one you there is a lot of think tanks here in Washington, DC. Okay, let me clear. I don't know how many you have in London,
Yeah,
but
there are many.
Washington DC is so full of think tanks. Washington DC has so many lobbyists, you know. Of course, some of all of they are required to declare whatever they do. I don't doubt it. I'm sure they do it, you know. But there are lots of lobbyists, you know. So I have no idea which lobbyists arranged what, how, you know what I mean? But I don't buy that whole thing. I look at people, like the people situation, you know what I mean? I look at how are the people of that country? Are they economically looking good? Is their dollar rate good? Is food good there? You know, like when I go to Costco here and buy things for my own kids, you know, I look at the price there. I see increase, and by the way, in restaurant prices here. I don't know how it is in London for you, but
So
here
it's
in the
everywhere.
U,
It's
huh?
everywhere the same. Everywhere
So
the same, Lala.
so a lot of time in the White House there is these local
People say
journalists.
that people say that it's because of the Ukraine war, but we're not
Yeah.
allowed to discuss that even sitting over here.
Okay. No, but what I'm saying is, in the US, people are just saying that, like, why has that not money or whatever money being done on this or that? Like, why don't you spend it on your own people? So
Yeah.
people have the right to speak, though, right? People have the right to ask their leaders that they choose. That's why elections, that's why democracy. I mean, if there was some other system, as Imran Khan used to say too, sometime I've heard him really praise the Chinese economic things as well, right? But to me, it was very always like, okay, China has, you know, that's another argument. What I'm saying is people have the right to, like, say or express their own side of the story. You know what I'm saying? My side of the story is, my opinion is, just economically, Pakistanis in general, our economy, and from what I hear from people, my own story is this. My last time my salary of my staff were delayed was in 2004. In my own newspaper,
Hmm.
my salary that I delayed for staff member was in 2004, last
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's like one of the first times after that time. So in that whole time, those team members that I have in the frontier post, their kids were born, their weddings were done. You know what I mean? The kids even grow up, so you even know their names and stuff. So then you wonder, like, man, why do you know this guy so well that even his financial conditions bothers you as well? So yes, I'm
Hmm.
very bothered with the way I see my own friends now, my own colleagues, how they are economically struggling. I think economy should be the main agenda. I think our politicians, our decision makers, whoever they are, they should handle it thinking that economy is the main issue. And of course, for economy, of course, democracy so far is the best issue. And for democracy, of course, elections is the best issue. So let's move to
Now,
that.
all right, final question before a tricky one, mind you. I'm warning you already. It's a tricky one. I'm giving you. I'm giving you a googly, so I'm already warning you. It's a googly coming your way. So,
So don't do Google, my friend. Google is
no, no,
Jirga
no, no,
Melo,
this
Google
googly
nahi
is a must.
maarte.
Then, Lala, what's the point of having a jirga if there is no googly over there?
No,
Then
tell me your opinion as well about that
Yeah, I
same
will. I
googly.
will. My opinion about now. This is about Ukraine war. My opinion is that Ukraine was a breadbasket, and because of the war, I'm not saying who did what. All right, I'm not asking you who did what. My opinion is because the global breadbasket has been disturbed. That is why we are all facing this spiral of inflation. There are many other reasons, but they're all
I
related to
totally
that
agree with
particular
I totally
war.
agree with you. I totally agree with you. And look, just the way you even said this thing as a journalist who goes to these places, okay? So like fair journalism is when you share your own feelings. This is what I think your jirga and my jirga. I think this is what we should present to people, that this is what our belief. I agree with your belief. I totally believe this whole war, here the feeling is different as well. And I think it has created a total a shake of balance of powers, that from moving from like unilateral superpower to like multiple superpower to importance of regional players. You know what I mean? Like all these things are taking a very interesting, and I think for that international relations and international diplomacies are very important, and transparency to
Yeah,
your own
yeah.
people, because
Oh
there are
yes,
journalists
oh yes.
sitting like you and me who can do at least a small little show and make 1,000 or 2,000 people be aware of something. Now, doing silly mistakes does not allow leaders, political leaders
Well,
especially.
about transparency, we are crying in our own country about this transparency. Well, we are paying the price for the war in Ukraine, but Mr. Zelensky has got these. It is said that allegedly he has made billions out of the war, and about President Biden's son, whatsoever he has been doing, that is already in the public now. So these guys at the top, what top 1% of the in my personal opinion, the top 1% ruling this world, they do not care about, they're not differentiated by nationalities, ethnicities, religion, or anything else, but about the money they've got. So this top 1% are, ruling the rest 99% of us under us. And we should have at least the right to question, about the transparency about, you spending billions and billions and billions at our cost around the world. We are sending the money to the Ukraine war. So at least should have the right to ask this question: that how come Zelensky became a billionaire, or the allegations about him hiding that money in his offshore accounts are true or not? That should come out and publicly. Why do we need something like Panama Papers, or why do we need somebody like WikiLeaks with Julian Assange in jail? Why do we need Jamal Khashoggi's? Why can't we just question these things at the government level, maybe at the mainstream level, maybe? Why not? Is Mr. Zelensky is the only good guy in Ukraine right now? What's going on? Why can't we talk about that? And why there are restrictions on talking about these particular things? And we at least should
Where
have
is
we should have the right to know that whether it's true or not, because it's very disheartening.
no,
These
no, but
allegations are
listen
true or
here.
not. Yeah.
No, 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 no. Let me correct you first of all here.
Yeah.
If you think at the White House or at the State Department, these journalists don't ask these questions. They do ask these questions. Okay, just you need to watch it more. They do ask it. Why are we giving this money?
Mm-hmm.
Why did that? Not just that, they even know the contract. Is that contract was given to that contract? How much did that? You know what I mean? Like they ask them nitty gritty questions. So no,
Yeah.
sir. The public, the journalists here do ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the journalism is to such an extent deep here that I feel like each subject there are journalists that are expert in it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
those expert journalists, I see them personally, at the White House, at State Department, at Pentagon, 30 years just covering, for example, the soil quality of the certain, so they will ask about, hey, Mr. President, that lake has disturbed that soil. So they do ask that question. And the Black Sea grain is a big issue. You know what I mean? Turkey's role is a big issue. Like these questions, these journalists ask them, and they continuously ask them. By the way, just the point that I wanted to share, which
And what are the
basically,
answers, Dada? Just
huh?
for the public consumption. What are the answers in general to these questions?
Again, I think media, and especially guys like me and you, yes, they create that stirs. They let the politicians think that, listen, you can't make these political choices. You know what I mean? These political choices, the more they're decreased, the money is going to go to the public. The more these politicians, they're made powerful, the more these politicians, the more strictness is tracing the wealth. The more, like, for example, one of the questions that I asked the State Department was, Rashid Dostum, before you guys took over to Afghanistan, you guys had declared him the biggest heroin dealer in the world. Why is it that when you took over power in Afghanistan, when you were at the helm of affairs, why did you make him defense minister? No answer. Again, I asked him, did your embassy tell you in 2005 that Frontier Post published this story about him? No. I'm like, can you check it for me? No. They said no. Then the question is, let's talk about today. Where is he sitting? He is living in this beautiful villa in Turkey where you and I could only dream about going, right?
Rashid Dostum, yeah.
Look at your little room you're sitting in and look at my bloody car that I'm sitting in,
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's true.
listen, but my question is there a way to check that how did that wealth go to Turkey? Is there a way to check who sent that money? Where was it sent from? How much was that property bought? Who bought it? Can you tell me how did Hamdullah Mohib buy so many properties? Allegedly by Wall Street Journal, not by me. So I want to know, as an Afridi who are popular for doing money exchange business, right? I want to know how did he manage to buy 5 properties at the age of God knows what, just probably me and your age, okay? So me and you are doing very bad compared to these guys, okay? Whatever is the reason, whatever bad you have done, whatever bad I have done. But the guy owns 5 properties. I want to know, how did that money come? How did those buy? And where are those powers? Are they not looking at it? Like, they should be checked. These people should not be encouraged.
So are they
These
not interested? Are they not interested to check, or they're getting their own shares?
world powers. That's why Turkey, Turkey is a dear friend of Pakistan. I love Turkey myself. I've been there. I have attended OIC summit there. Excuse me. I hope my coughing didn't make noise.
No,
Um,
that's fine. That's fine. Go on.
I've
There is coughing in Jirga. Jirga mein to, but there are long coughs in Jirga as well. Yeah.
I'll try not to do that as well. Uh, so Turkey is a great country. People are lovely. Everything is great. But like, I did ask that Anatolian journalist the other day. I'm like, hey, listen, I asked this question in the State Department. You heard it. Would you like to do a joint story on it? Like, can your Anatolian news agency guy in Turkey just check? Let's do a joint story. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, this joint story is good for the public. These people are heroin dealers, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me, Afridi, Darra Khabar, keeping in view that whole background thing, heroin is something that I am personally very allergic to, I
Yeah.
have personal friends, family members, and bring that Peshawar thing to here, to Arlington. Met a
Mm-hmm.
guy, 70, 75, 80-year-old, okay, driving a
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari. And I asked this question in the State Department. He
Mm-hmm.
said my son was doing heroin. He was walking in these, we have a river here, it's called Potomac River. Very
Mm-hmm.
popular. You should study
Yeah.
about it, That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
divides DC and Arlington, okay? That's DC. This is Virginia. Arlington is the first town where I live, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, he just does wilderness in those trees by the river for last God knows how many. And then he said, now he's fine. It's been 2-3 years, and like, I'm very happy now, and blah blah blah. Just imagine if he's driving Ferrari, so that means he's a wealthy guy, right? And it's just not Ferrari I've seen him in. Okay, he drives another beautiful car too. And I told him, I'm like, listen, man, I gotta give you my car one day and let me borrow your car for a few hours, right? So heroin, man, is a killer, and me and you through this Jirga program. Let's take it a challenge, Let's keep an eye on heroin figures. How much is it grown? Our region is where it's grown. Afghanistan is one of the biggest heroin dealer in the world.
Oh
Believe
yes.
it or not. Okay, Taliban control it, but do they completely control it, or do they decrease it? Like from 8 billion it went to 7 billion, or from 8 billion it go to 1 billion. Okay, so I am
Afghanistan is paying
interested.
the price. There's an Al Jazeera documentary on it. The way their own people are paying the price for this, and they're
What do you mean
addicted.
by that? What do you
There's
mean?
there's
Yeah.
huge there are a huge population of addicted people there in Afghanistan as well because of this trade.
Yeah, so that is something like in Jirga, I think in this Jirga with Jalil, heroin should be one thing. Just to let you know, there is a new drug. I had not heard about it since I moved to the US 6, 7 years ago. Fentanyl. Okay, you
Yeah.
living in London and me living in US, I just want to tell you, I hear question about it in State Department and in White House all the time about it. And it comes from China. China is accused the most about it. It is a
Hmm.
drug that my kids now in middle school and elementary school, parents, this is one of the things they teach them. Don't eat from somebody, any stranger, don't eat a candy because it can be mixed in candy as well. I think some of these synthetic drugs, I want to discuss them in this program. I want to educate people, whoever I can. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
and I should play some positive role as well. You know what I mean? Which we can do. Which we can do.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I
readership
agree.
you have. I don't have digital readership. Okay, you are running the show digitally of Jirga with Jalil. Okay, I just
Yeah.
need the
Yeah. I get it.
website. That's all I can handle. My energy does not allow me. But in Jirga with Jalil, we should target international relations. We should target international justice. Of course, we should target our region. Of course, we should target the betterment of Pakistan. We should suggest it in a nice way. Of course, we should talk about anywhere if Islam is being insulted, or something mean is happening. Yes, we should take a stand on it. We should highlight it.
Yeah.
Our journalism should be such, because it's not owned by corporate sector, my friend. The moment it gets owned by corporate sector, media is gone. It's
Yeah.
their policy. Peter Ducey is a great guy. I see him in the White House, but it's policy of Fox TV. Just mind you, the questions they read is from Fox. It's not like their own questions. You know what I mean? So this
Yeah.
journalism me and you are doing, I think it is the top level. It is the best level.
Free and independent, no agenda. Only thing is, our aim is the betterment of human society, spreading of human rights, and talking about three things in particular which we have discussed. Talk about Islam being Pakistani, we must never forget it, and we should talk about interreligious harmony. and we should promote peace, because peace is the logical way forward. I think we've already kept Jalil Lala for a complete hour away from his cigarettes, and he needs a break. Yeah, and and, and I would also request all of you to please go to soldierspeaks.org and go to the StubHub. StubHub ad is there. Buy your tickets from
Only in
there.
the US. Only in the
Yeah,
US, by the way.
only
Only
in
in
the
the
US.
US. Those who are watching
Yeah,
in the US. Yeah.
yeah, people watching in the US, please go to soldierspeaks.org and go to the StubHub and please buy your tickets from there. And please do support us. Please do promote this program. This is an English format. We want to reach the global audience. We want to take our issues to the global audience. We want to discuss issues across frontiers, and we want the Pakistani audience as well to understand the global issues as well, because we are part of the global community. And at the end of the day, what happens in Pakistan cannot be seen in isolation. It has got global impact. If democracy is interrupted in Pakistan, so it has got impact right now in Washington, like we've discussed in this program. If not seen us, I think you need to see it again. So this is the entire concept of the program. Everybody's got their own opinion. They're responsible for their opinion. We are going to bring on guests from next week's program as well, and there'll be guests having international standings, and they will be discussing international issues. And of course, we will put across your concerns with regard to Pakistan as well. And we will definitely try to do our bit. But we are living in a global village, and let's try to live in harmony and peace, and let's try to understand each other, and let's try to convey our points. I mean, we are going to talk to certain people who represent maybe a government policy, or who are discussing a government policy maybe, but then we will, in our questions, we will do put across our reservation of the Pakistani public to that particular government. That is our intention, actually, and that is what we want to do. And that is why Mr. Jalil Afridi have said that what we are doing is pure journalism. It has got no nonsense, no bullshit. All right, it's all pure journalism. Yeah, yeah. So that is what it is. And this is the first program, proper program, and we've had the Jirga with Jalil, but that was the part of the Patriots Pulse of the soldierspeak.org initiative. But now we are going to regularly every week going to have this program Jirga with Jalil, and it will be hosted on Soldier Speaks, Major Adil Raja. So you're most welcome to join us, and you're most welcome to spread the word. And let me tell you, for all those who copy my content and who think and who are making thousands of dollars off my content on YouTube, I don't mind. I don't give you copy strike. But this particular program, Jirga with Jalil, is a copyright protected program. You're not allowed to reproduce it in any form. All right, so I've already warned you. So please do not blame me later on if you get a copyright strike if you copy it. All right. So that is all. That is that. And Jalil Allah, if you have to say any closing words.
I just want to tell you that, Rajaji, it's an amazing thing what you and I have done today. I think a lot of people are going to look at it with a lot of different, glasses to see what's going on and, how it's going on and stuff. I just want to say the program that we will be hosting together is going to be aimed to learn from our host, is going to be to educate each other, me and Rajaji, about what we think is important in our region and internationally. And we are going to do it in a nice way where we are not going to promote anybody's agenda. We are just going to share our thoughts about, and we're going to have the people who are expert in that region. And thank you for playing this Rabab music, because Jirga with Rabab is like, chocolate with, some of that icing, or with vanilla ice cream, you know what I mean? So,
So with the icing on the cake, please allow us to end this program, and see you very soon. Take care of yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.